Yo, it's your boy Colin, aka Colin Trades CSP, back with you with another weekly video. Last week we did have a continuation of a red week from the prior week, and a lot of things started to sell off as we came into Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Then on Friday, we did get a nice little bounce. So one thing we want to take a look at to see this week is if this is going to be a regular dead cat bounce or if we're going to be seeing hopefully a continuation to new highs. So we're going to take a look at the charts, take a look at some news that's coming out this week, and hopefully see exactly how we want to play out to see if we want to have a continuation higher, or maybe this is just a dead cat pounce for a continuation lower. All right, so let's start off. Let's take a look at what's coming out this week and all the news, and then we'll take a look at the charts. All right, let's get to it. All right, so now looking at the news, let's see. So starting off Monday, it looks like we're not really getting too much, just little Fed speakers on Monday, and it looks to be in the afternoon. And then come Tuesday, we got some import price index, minus fuel, U.S. retail sale minus autos, business inventories, and then looks to be Fed speakers in the second half of the day. Come Wednesday, February 11th, we have a pretty big important day, U.S. employment rate, U.S. unemployment rate, U.S. hourly wages year over year, and so forth. Something the Fed is going to be taking a look at to see if we're going to get maybe a possible wage price spiral, or when it comes to the employment rate, making sure everything is good to go when it comes to possible rate decisions in the coming weeks. Then we come Thursday, February 12th, initial jobless claims, existing home sales, and more Fed speakers. And the more importantly, it is going to be all eyes on Friday, as we do have CPI data being reported. Something we want to make sure inflation is going lower so we can get possible rate cuts, which then allows for the market to go higher. So that's going to be a key eye watch when it comes to Friday. Make sure that when you're trading, keep an eye on these news and making sure that you're not in any serious positions when it comes to going long or short, because Friday is going to be the key eyes, as it will be the decision if we want to have rate cuts in the near term. All right, so now let's go into the charts. We're going to be taking a look at ES and NQ first. We're noticing some serious divergence happening when it comes to ES and NQ. So as you can see on the daily, so come Tuesday, we had a serious drawdown from recent, basically all-time highs. We came down, and then came Friday, we had a huge push to the upside, almost seeing roughly around 2% on the day. But one thing we noticed when it comes to this nice push in the divergence is that this Fibonacci retracement, we have cleared the 618 and now looking to test even the 7. And we saw that little push to the tip, and now we're looking to touch this 7. If we do get this clearance of the 7, then I would not be surprised we test all-time highs on the ES. Now, looking at NQ, we got a little something different, a little divergence happening. As you can see, NQ has not even touched the 50% retracement of the fall down starting from last Wednesday. Basically, this is not looking like this is testing this 50% retracement. If we do not get over this 618, we're gonna have to hope that ES, or basically the S&P 500, helps push the big tech names over this so that we can test previous highs. If this is a fake out, we want to make sure that if the 618 position on the fib is rejected. So this is something we have to keep an eye on as we go into this week. If this 618 area wants to be tested, and then possibly a continuation lower to the downside. So that's something you got to keep an eye on, like I said. So ES right now looking to test the 786, already clearing the 50% retracement and the 618 with a solid body candle closing above. So now if we are able to clear the 786, then we'll most likely test all-time highs once again. But with NQ, something to keep an eye on when it comes to this is, do we clear this 50% retracement. That's going to be the first test, is the 50%, and then once we do clear this 50%, then we're looking at this 618. But we're definitely going to need ES to carry the market so that we can push big tech names over this 618 and then look to retest all-time highs again. Now we're looking at Bitcoin. So as I've in my previous videos, I've been preaching this one, this head and shoulders patterns being formed. Now we've broken out under that 75,000 area, and then on that past Thursday we did test that 60,000 level. Now the eyes are to see if the bulls are in place to bring this back over 80,000, or if the bears are here and we do not bring this back over this 70,000 area. So something to keep an eye on is going to be this, definitely the fight for 75. And this basically this 382 retracement from this recent drop. So if the bulls are wanting to bring this higher, first stop is this 50% retracement at roughly around 80,000. If they cannot clear this 80,000 area, then what's going to happen is I most likely will see a retracement, a retest under 75, to which then will go lower. And if you zoom out a bit, I can definitely see this coming to retest the lower 50,000. So make sure to keep like basically tight stops and make sure to keep an eye on those key levels, as 75,000 is going to be the watch. And then if we break over 75, we'll be 80,000. Now, if we reject 75, you're going to have to look at 60, roughly around 65,000 as potential support. If not, we'll retrace the low at 60 and then come into the 50s in the coming days after that. So like I said, when it comes to that Friday CPI, that will be the key watch to see if this thing wants to go higher, or if not, we will most likely go lower. So just keep an eye on those key levels. Now, what I like to do every week is give 3 potential trading ideas for this coming week. I am in one of these positions, and I really like these charts to see if we want to go long or short when it comes to the plays that are coming in this week. So first, we're going to be looking at SoFi, one of my favorite companies to own long term, but also is a very good trading idea as well. So as we can see, the past 2 weeks after earnings, literally this thing has dumped from 26 all the way to as low as $19. This is a great company to own long term, but also a greater company when it comes to in the current position where it is at under $20 a share. Now, if you're looking for a potential trade idea, I do like this to test the recent breakup of this breakdown. So as you can see from earnings, we've literally have gone from 26 now all the way down to 19, and we caught a nice bounce on that Friday with the overall market. So my key watch, I'm going to be keeping an eye on this 50% retracement from recent highs to basically this. We're looking at a potential bounce from this support area to look to retest to get back into this potential zone at 25.90. If we're unable to get back over this 25.90, so basically this, I would love to basically take another short off that level to then we'll most likely start to trade into this level, which then it's also a win-win when you start to look at it. Just basically take longs at the support, take shorts at the resistance. Simple as that. But as of right now, I'm currently in long positions in this key area. It's something I want to make sure is that this support area holds so that I can retest longs back into this 24-25 area. So, and then we'll basically redecide to see if we want to continue higher from this level, or if we're going to be basically starting a short position in this level if the market wants to start to pull back. All right, but this is my first key stock level I'll be looking at the coming weeks for this long, and then possibly a potential short. The next company I'm looking at is Amazon. So as we saw last Thursday, Amazon reported earnings. It did basically a double beat, but the overall market was coming down, and they announced, I believe, a $200 billion CapEx spending for the calendar year. Now the markets didn't like that, so it basically sold off that day, the following day on that Friday. But what's good is that on Friday, we also did get a bounce. So this led a good opportunity for buyers to step in at that $200 level. And now we want to see if we can possibly take a trade idea off of this bounce. Now, as you see right here, this 210, 211 area looks to be potential support, but my key eyes are roughly around this 215 area as potential support / resistance. So if we open up on Monday with a potential green day, and on Tuesday this is all just a dead cat bounce, I would love to maybe possibly stab shorts to retest this low at 200 and do a possible gap fill all the way at this 195. If the market does want to continue long, really the only thing I'm going to be keeping an eye on is the break and retest of this key level, because as you can see, we tested this level multiple times. One right here, we broke, retested here, broke and retested here, tested here, tested here. These are multiple tests in this area and also tested back here. So, and right here. So I just see a little confluence happening in this location that rather I can take a stab short if the market does want to reject, and then just look for potential retracement back to new lows. Or if I want to, then I could just basically wait for the break and then potential retest to then stab long to go basically gap fill all of these back to 230. So Amazon is going to be on a watch this week, as it did drop about 5%. So there's going to be a little bit of recovery bounce for this particular stock, as it is an overall great company to own long term. So a lot of people are going to be buying the dip, I believe, and we can see this most likely gap fill back to 220 and then 230. So a nice, very good trade idea. And then lastly is AMD, another company that reported earnings last week, another surprising double beat. And then also the CapEx spending did hit the market, which then allowed this company to tank. Especially the key level I was looking at last week was 200 to hold, which then it broke after earnings because of the overall market, which then bounced back over that $200 area. So with that, I'm a little bit biased and bullish for this company, as it is a great company to own long term. So I do see potential for this to possibly reverse. One key level I'm going to be keeping an eye on with the 50% retracement of this. If this wants to continue higher and break over, looks to be Wednesday's highs at 217 and then that 220 psychological level, I would love to take longs back into 228 and then potentially even look at this 618 with a full gap fill at 237. So again, if this does break over this 220 psychological level, I would love to test longs back at that 228 and then 237 full gap fill level. Now, if this does reverse and we do not even get near this gap fill, well, most likely, if the overall market does want to reject at this 220 level, I will most likely see this touch 220, then come back at the 200 level for a potential short, which then if this 200 level right here holds as support, I would love to take longs to back into a full gap fill reversal. But again, something to keep an eye on is the overall market to see if we want to get a push to new highs, or even this was all just a dead cat bounce and we're going to be pushing to new lows. So those are 3 potential trade ideas that I'm looking at this week. I showed you basically a little concept of what the overall market looks like. We do have a divergence that's being formed on ES and NQ, so making sure that we keep an eye on both levels and both tickers to make sure that once support is hit or resistance is hit on one, making sure that you're not in a position to where this reverses just because you see NQ going, but then ES is all-time highs and not going any further. So those are just key levels that I'm keeping an eye on this week. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment of any ticker that you want me to look at in next video. And then if you have any questions or concerns, we are a group of traders from the Heritage 11 trading group. So if you have questions and I'm not able to answer, you're more than welcome to get an answer from one of the other traders in the group as well, which then I'll leave their link subscribed in the bio as well. So thank you for watching this video, and I hope you guys have a great trading week, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.